Last time on Weld.com.
Thank you.
You're the two that's been whacking off in my tool shed?
I don't know how to do your job, but my book says you're doing it wrong. Thunder Kits!
Just leave this on.
Shut your mouth!
This is your brain on sleep deprivation.
Thunder Kits.
All right, so we just got everything all cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead, take this off the table, flip it upside down, because if you guys remember when we first did this, the first video, the bottom two legs are bent in. We do have a little bit of warpage in there. Mancub and I made some dogs and wedges. I'm gonna show you guys how to use those. So let's check it out.
All right, Jason, I got the wedges. Where's the dogs at?
Why don't you call it? All right, guys, so what we have here is a plate dog and a wedge. So as you can see, this area right here, we've got some severe high-low mismatch, whatever you want to call it. So what we're gonna do, instead of trying to push on this side and beat on the inside and all that, or try to smack it into place, I'm gonna use this dog and the wedge. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a small tack weld on one side of this, okay? And I'm gonna do it on one side because once I'm done, I'll be able to snap that off, right? If I weld it on both sides, it's not gonna, I'm gonna have to cut it off with a cutoff wheel. But if I weld it on one side, I'll be able to take a crescent wrench, put it over top and snap it off, and I'll show you guys that also. So essentially what I'm gonna do is the side that is lowest, this side right here, I'm gonna weld that, put a weld on the back side, and then I'm gonna take the wedge and I'm gonna drive it in from the front, well, I'm gonna drive it in from the back. I'm gonna always drive it in from the side that the weld's on. So I'll drive that in from the back, and essentially what it's going to do is it's going to pick up this side that the dog is, or the dog is welded to, and it might drive down this side a little bit, but either way, they're going to be, we're going to get that surface back to flat, and then I'll go ahead and fill those seams in. I'm just going to put a couple spot welds down here as we work it through. Once we get done, I'll just put some stitch welds right in between. It doesn't have to be a full seam weld. I don't want to put a whole lot of heat and get it distorted or anything like that. It's strong enough to hold as is, but you know, we're just going to go ahead and put a little bit of additional reinforcement in there and flush these two back up, because we got this is where everything's going to roll from. We're going to have our casters down here also. So grab my hood and we'll get to it. So I just need a little tack right here. Like I said, the side that you put the tack on is the side you're going to drive the wedge from, and that's because if I were to weld it on the back side and drive the wedge in on the opposite side, it's probably going to break that weld off. Just grab you a crescent wrench, put it on top, and just bend it. It pops right off. Now I can go ahead and clean that up. Not a big deal. Great thing about these is when I'm done with them, just clean them up, throw these in the toolbox. I got them for the next job. A dog and a wedge isn't just something you would do on thin gauge sheet metal and stuff like that. I've used it on decking plate when I did structural steel ironwork. It works good if you have beams or other weldments, trying to get those two pieces to match up. Weld that dog on the low side, hit it with the wedge, it's going to bring those two equal. Sometimes you might have to put a little bit more weld on there, but I mean, they work out really well. All right, so now all the areas that I just used that dog and wedge, I'm just going to go ahead and clean those up. All right, so we're not going to bore you with every single weld on this piece. Pretty much same thing, standard. I'm going to go through, weld these areas out where we did the relief sections, and I'm just going to keep going away. We'll knock these out. All right, so it's just on the floor. We got it back up on the table. Now we're gonna go ahead and install the back half of our filler metal support. We went ahead and put this Pure P1 multi-prop in here, and basically what that does, that allows me to extend this piece and kind of get that bow out of the bottom that we had. So this is gonna allow me to put this back piece in here, get it across here flat, so I can go ahead and kind of force that into position to where I can get this tacked up and kind of start forming everything together where we get that sheet metal shape out and get that solid structural appeal we're looking for. All right, so what I'm gonna do right now is I've got this squared up this way. I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple small tacks in, and then I'm gonna pull the plate square this way. That way, when I pull the sides in, I'll be able to put some stitch welds in here, and it's gonna hold, it's gonna kind of reinforce the inside for me. Because the tack welds are gonna be on this side, I'm still gonna have a little bit of movement with this sheet till I can get it into its final resting place, and then we'll go ahead and put some beefier welds on there. Now you may be sitting at home on your couch or at your table watching this video thinking, man, that clamp's a little oversized for that job. And you're right. Problem is, it has the exact depth that I need. I don't have a smaller clamp, so I'm just gonna use the resources we have available. It's a fine clamp, so I'm gonna put it to work. What's this welding cart, this welding cart, and that welding cart over there have in common?
They go weld. I mean, not weld.
All the wheels are on the bottom of the cart.
You son of a...
Wait, you filmed him doing it. I turned around, I got this piece, but I was like, well, I suppose I could test fit this. And I was like, no, wait, I gotta wait till he flips it over. And I was like, actually, that's the side I need. All right, we've been talking about labeling the tops, bottoms, lefts, right, number of bends and stuff like this, but apparently I missed one. And you guys see what can happen. So we're gonna go ahead and label this one. Good, drill them holes, Mancub. All right, buddy, you got 4 and 15/16 on both. All right, so we just got done putting the side panels on for the bottle rack on the back of the cart. We got this tacked up. We're going to fix this plate, get everything set up, do a test fit on a bottle to make sure we've got our top set up just where we need it. We're just gonna keep welding along. All right, so we got everything set up, the bottle's in place, everything's fitting good, the bottom worked out good, top, we've got this set exactly where we want it. We want a slight lean forward on the bottle, that way when you go ahead and grab it and you're pulling across the shop, it doesn't have a tendency to lean back on you. So, got our place for our chain. We're gonna go ahead and get this tacked up in place, maybe even weld it out, and then start adding on the accessories. All right, so we had a little bit of an oversight. You know, we got the Mancub and I got to working on this, flipping around and moving it and stuff, and we kind of realized, man, this thing would be great if it had a handle. Something we just kind of overlooked from the get. So we're gonna go ahead, I've got a couple brackets here. Mancub's cutting me a piece of pipe. We're gonna center that up and drop it in here and affix it to the top. All right, so the measurements, my handles are 2.5 inches. I've got a 1-inch piece of pipe, so I'm going to offset this so it'll be center. So I'm going to bring it up 3/4 of an inch. So I have 2 3/8 plates on either side, which is going to lift this up to that 3/4 inch we need. I'm going to get my dimension here so I have an even inset. And I'm going to use this mag switch back here to kind of act as a brace so I can get a couple good tacks on it. Like a glove. All right guys, so far so good. The only thing we really have left is we're gonna put a little frame down here, just a little tabletop out of some angle and a sheet of plate, because there's a water cooler that's actually gonna sit in here. The weld machine's gonna sit on top. Once we get done putting that in there, I think we're pretty much good to go. We'll get it all painted up and send it down to Heffner's. All right, so right now we're finishing up the internal frame that's gonna hold our water cooler. So if you guys wanna come on inside, I'll show you what's going on here. So what we did is we figured out our measurement back here equal to the one up front, because we want this to sit parallel and even. And we also have some decals and logos that's gonna go in between this angle and the sheet metal on the outside. So we put an 1/8 inch spacer in here to accommodate our material that's gonna go in between there. Clamped a piece of angle here and on the side of the sheet so we can hold this in place until we get a good tack on it. We got the bar clamp back here to draw this in. Remember I talked about getting that rigid shape back, taking it out of a sheet metal look to more of a structural look. That's gonna help us right here with this reinforcement in the back. So now I'm gonna reach in here, put a couple tack marks, and then we're gonna put the other cross piece in there, space that equally, get both of these sides tacked, kind of rotate it, flip it, get into where we can get some room to weld on it. So, all right, so what I've done right here is I've just clamped a piece of flat bar to the top of this angle iron, because it's gonna sit on an edge over there. So it's kind of a one-man operation at the moment. I'll be able to hang this on the edge and work on this back side over here and navigate where I need to go. All right, so on the back here, I have a plate here as well, so I'll be able to slide this up underneath here and clamp it in place. Now what that's going to allow me to do is stay in position where I need to be, kind of work hands free for a minute until I get it up underneath here and get it tacked in. I'm going to go ahead and take my spacer, just reserving space in here for that. We're going to attach some plexiglass and stuff on the inside, some colored plexiglass, just to kind of offset the Heffner Performance logo. So I've got to accommodate for that. So we're going to give that about an 1/8 inch of space, and I have a 1/8 inch coupe in here. Once I get that clamped in, all I have to do is push this angle up against that material and then give it a good tack. So you guys stay right there. I'm gonna rotate the cart and I'll be right back. And we're back. So now on this side, all I have to do is put my spacer in here to give it that offset and then tack it up. So I have this angle right here attached to my frame angle, and what that's doing is holding it in place for elevation. I went ahead and put my spacer behind the angle and then clamp the angle and the spacer in place to the plate. So now I can remove this and I'll still be at my elevation that I wanted. So I'm still flush right here. I've got my 1/8 inch space, which is what I needed. I'm gonna go ahead and tack this up. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is, now that I've got this tacked up, is I'm gonna go ahead and put the plate on here, clamp it down, tack that in place, and then I'm gonna flip the cart, right? I could get really ambitious and try and snake my MIG gun through here and grab a mirror and all that stuff, but first rule of welding, always be comfortable. Next thing, try to weld everything in position if it's feasibly possible. So I'm gonna clamp this plate in, flip it over, and then we'll get everything tacked up. Good enough for government work. I'm gonna send it. All right, guys, we're done with all the fabrication on this part, all the welding, detailing, stuff like that. So now we're gonna send it over and get some lipstick on her, get her all dolled up before we send her down to Heffner. I'm gonna stick a fork in her, she's done. Guys, so it looks like we're done. So some of the features we added to here, we went through and put in the filler metal holders. We've got 16 of those in there because over at Heffner they do various types of alloys. They have steel, stainless, aluminum, Inconel, titanium. So you know we've got quite a bit up there because they're going to have a bunch of different varieties. We also have the torch or ground clamp holder on this side, foot pedal. We've got grip tape on the bottle rack. We have an articulating bottle rack so they can actually roll the bottle up into position. Got the chain on there, got the handle. So we pretty much have all our bases covered. 4 swiveling wheels so that they'll be able to a lot easier for movement and stuff like that. I know I had a great time building this. We put in a lot of late hours over the past couple days to get this thing done. I know Mancub, you're right there with me. Side by side, putting everything together, working it out, going through the Quickie system, kind of designing things on the fly, making some changes, and just kind of doing a lot of things out of the ordinary with the minimal amount of tools at our disposal. So, you got anything you want to say?
I think you said it all.
I think I covered all the bases. Oh, we also have some decals in here, or not decals. We have
plexiglass.
Some plexiglass on the back. The Mancub cut out for us and slid in there to kind of make some of the accents pop. We got the Weld.com logo going on up front.
Oh yeah.
So I think we pretty much hit all our bases.
Oh, you got this fabulous tilting right here.
Looks like we missed a spot here, buddy. So, because everything you do around here for us, man, this place wouldn't function without the Mancub. So the guys got together and made up his own logo and got him some stickers and stuff printed. So we just wanted to give you that as a token of our appreciation for everything that you guys that you do around here for us. So
I'm honored.
Thanks, man. It's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Look at that.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe to our videos. Hit the comment section down below if you got any questions, comments, concerns. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, make every weld better than your last. All right, welcome back to another episode of Weld.com. So this week's submission comes from Facebook, from Jeff Sanza. He's running some 3/16 lap joint in the vertical up position, running 035 70S6 wire, 17 volts, 200 inches a minute. It looks like he's having some problems here. He says he's tracing the leading edge of the weld puddle, but I'm having trouble keeping track of what's going on. I'd appreciate some advice. Thanks in advance. Well, the first thing I would say is if you're going to run 3/16, if you're dead set on running it uphill, I would drop down to like a 024 or an 030 diameter wire versus that 035. You're putting way too much filler metal in here. The next thing I would recommend is if you have 035, go ahead and run it downhill. There's no problem running it downhill. You're going to get adequate penetration on 3/16 material. I mean, let gravity, work to your advantage. Run your nozzle about a 5-degree travel angle, pulling downhill, and let it fill in that way. I read earlier in the comments that you weren't too particular on the 3/16. It's what you had laying around. You wanted to do some more practice, and you're just trying to get ready for when you're welding on thicker material. So if you're running thicker material, I would say your settings aren't too bad. Let's say you step up to like a 1/4 inch or a 5/16. I'd probably bump up your volts up to 18 or 18.5, and then run your wire feed speed about 250 inches a minute. And then you're going to run like a triangle type pattern in there. Pause on the sides, quick through the center. The center is going to take care of itself because of gravity. If you start getting any thicker than 1/4 inch, for the most part, like you can practice on 3/8 material with 035, but it's really prevalent to inadequate penetration. That's why it's not recommended by for anything 1/4 inch, 5/16 and above. If you're going to run into anything higher than 5/16, I would definitely recommend like a spray transfer and jumping up to an 045 diameter wire. But I mean, keep practicing, man. I would definitely try running some downhill. Just so you know you're familiar with that aspect of it, and then try dropping down your wire feed, or I'm sorry, your wire diameter to an 030. So I hope that helps, man. Keep us posted in the comments. Thanks for watching.
You're gonna need a face shield, Meow. Probably clamp that to the table, Meow.
They're for wheels. What did you say, Jason?
Why is everybody yelling? Want a cookie? That doesn't sound forced.
Hey, Jason, can we finish this up tonight, buddy? Please? Hey, Jason.
Oh, what?
Hey. You alright?
Yeah, I'm good.
Fell asleep with a cookie in your hand.
No, you just need to hire another cameraman to follow us around and film when you're not filming. You need a B-roll cameraman.
A C-roll camera.
There you go, C-roll.
Well, we'd be all fired if they did that.
What you got going on over here, Mancub?
Nothing.
What are the holes for?
Antennas?
That way it rolls across the ceiling.
Yeah.
Really smooth. The Mancub bit me finger. Mancub, can you help me down? Mancub? Mancub? Can you help me down? Higher than I thought. Baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark doo 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 doo, baby shark. Mommy shark doo 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 doo, mommy shark doo 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 doo, mommy shark doo 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 doo, mommy shark. Daddy shark doo 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 doo, daddy shark doo 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 doo, daddy shark doo 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 doo, daddy shark. Grandma shark doo 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 doo, grandma shark doo 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 doo, grandma shark doo 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 doo, grandma shark. Grandpa shark doo 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 doo, grandpa shark doo 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 doo, grandpa shark doo 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 doo, grandpa shark.